to another wonderful moment of Creativity Booster. I am Patricia Dubroff, and I'm with Nina Falk from A Musical Heart. And what we're going to be talking about today is music at the end of life. And the reason that we're going to talk about it is because in the field of aging, we want to help people plan for the best possible death, because we all know we're going to die someday. And in our Death and Dying Death Cafe workshops, we talk about, the more we can talk about it, the more at ease we feel about it. And knowing that there might be live music being played sounds really good to me. And apparently it's really become a sort of best practice. And more people are learning that this is a great way to tap into that energy that's still there, even when a person is at their most frail time. So Nina, welcome to Assisting Hands Creativity Booster. And tell us how you got this idea. You're a fine musician by training, right?
I'm a professional musician. Most musicians who become professional, they kind of self-identify early in life. You have to know as a child that this is so important to you. And luckily, my mother found me a teacher and so forth. So it started when I was 8, although today a lot of kids start even younger. But anyway, so I was very young, and I've had fabulous experiences as a professional, playing, performing, seeing the world, etc. And
what's your instrument?
Oh, I play the violin and the viola.
Great.
And so what happened with playing for hospice patients is about 12 years ago, my husband and I had a friend who was dying. He was in hospice, and we asked if we could come and visit him to say goodbye. And then I think we thought, well, can I bring my instrument? My husband's a pianist, and they had a piano there, and they said, oh yeah, that would be great. So we played, and our friend was well enough or strong enough to have very specific requests, what he wanted to hear. And we were able to fulfill those requests. And it was a very, very moving visit. His son was visiting from New York, and his son, who was actually a filmmaker, Skyped the whole visit to his kids who were in Brooklyn. And so it was a wonderful, wonderful visit. So we left feeling that something beautiful had happened. The next day, we found out that later that night he passed. And so it made it even more magical that this was his last night, because
what an honor.
Since then, I've seen hundreds and hundreds of hospice patients, but even so, you don't know by looking at them. And the family was so grateful that this was his last visit, because towards the end, how many times you can say, I love you, thank you, and wring your hands. And there's a lot of sort of silence. People don't know what to do. You don't make small talk, really. You want it to be meaningful because you're aware of the preciousness of time. So it was very meaningful for us to provide the music. Then I had a neighbor who had lots of friends, and the friends came. She was dying. She was in hospice just across the street, and she had many friends from all periods of her life come and visit. But as she declined, she just didn't have the energy to participate in these visits and talk and all that. And after a while, she started saying, I just want some music. So I started going over there, And one time, which was fabulous, my husband came over, he played the piano, we did a hymn together. The nurse sang the hymn, Steve played the piano, I played, and she was able to just listen. She didn't have to do anything. And honestly, you leave that energy in the house, in the room, whatever it is, you come and you go, but the room has changed. Sometimes since then, I have played for patients who are not responsive. And sometimes people say, well, don't bother, they're not responsive. Well, not only do we know that the sense of hearing is the last thing to go, but there is the room. They breathe that air and they feel that energy. And if you can fill it with some more love and harmony, and just expansive vibrations, why not? Anyway, so after those two visits, I had this thought, I love doing this. I was not depressed. I didn't think, oh, I can't be around dying people. I felt like I have something to give here, and I feel fabulous, and I really want to keep doing this. So that's when I started connecting with the local hospice agencies, Montgomery Hospice, Holy Cross, Capital Caring, Jewish Social Service Agency, et cetera.
And I think what's interesting too is that I was just going to say that the research has already been done on the value of music and healing and music and end of life. And that oftentimes, as you said before, if you're hearing at all, it doesn't matter. It's the vibration of the music that touches you so deeply. So even those who have lost their hearing or are profoundly deficit in hearing can still connect with the vibration of the sound. So just being present in the room makes such a difference. So I thought it might be nice to be present in this room, Zoom room. And if you want to just show a little sample of what you might do, I think everybody would really enjoy that. And then we'll talk a little bit again about where you're going in this process.
Sure. And before I play, I'm not going to actually play a piece. I want to demonstrate one of the most amazing experiences I had when I was playing at Casey House, which is part of Montgomery Hospice. And I walked in the room and there was a man sitting up and he was making these figure eights. And he was just sitting in the bed doing these figure eights. And his wife was there. And I asked her, would you like me to play for him? And she said, no, I mean, he's been doing this all day. He was doing these figure eights. Can you imagine? And I thought it would help, but I didn't want to pressure her. So I said, I'll play for other people and I'll circle back. And I did that, and she was kind of ready to go. It must have been very frustrating for her. But anyway, I always, look at the patient and they structure what it is that I play. They tell me whether it's with words or I just pick up whatever clues I can. And I looked at him and I could see he was like practically hypnotized. It was like he was in a trance. He couldn't stop. And I knew I had to just cut through that, but gently. So I picked up my viola and I looked at him, and this is all I did. I went, and you know what happened? I mean, it was amazing. He put his hands down. He stopped doing it. It was almost like, what was that? Put his hands down and he leaned back on the pillow. And then I played some Bach for him. The point is, then he was ready. Yep. So, and then he went to sleep. And I remember after that, I looked at my instrument like, what happened here? What was this,
Magic.
Yeah, it is, and it makes you so humble
Yeah.
and grateful that you can serve. And anyway, then we expanded. I realized I couldn't see everybody, and so I created this nonprofit, A Musical Heart, and I sought out some professional musicians, colleagues, and I raised money because I decided they should be paid, because nobody gets rich being a musician unless you're a rock star. And so they get a small amount, and it's been going now for 11 years. I know.
Well,
So
that is fantastic. So if someone wants to get involved, you've got a new model going now too, which I think is really brilliant. You started off talking to single musicians and bringing them aboard and training them, and now you're working with consorts. So you're looking at a group and saying who in your group would like to participate. So tell us a little bit about that and what you're wishing for.
well, thank you. When I started, I recruited musicians that I knew of, or someone else said, oh, do you know so-and-so? I bet they would be really great at this. And it would usually turn out that they were. And one singer who's on my website, Floyd Jones, is like that. He used to lead a gospel choir at George Washington Hospital. And so he knows, it's not just that he knows that that body, all these hymns, but Floyd is, like just built for this. He's amazing. So so before the pandemic, I had a lot of really fabulous musicians doing it. In time, things really changed during the pandemic. We didn't have access to patients a lot. They wouldn't allow visitors. Floyd moved away, and so, but even when we were working and we had a wonderful big group, we were isolated. So we would have from each other. So I would have like a potluck every year. But even that, I felt like we needed to have some connection. So I decided to partner with existing ensembles. So in Washington now, we're partnering with the Washington Bach Consort, which is, a fabulous world-class ensemble of, singers. They're fabulous singers and wonderful musicians, orchestra. And then also in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, I've been playing for 25 years with the Bach Choir of Bethlehem. So the same thing, we use singers from the choir and musicians from the orchestra. And so whenever we perform, we see each other, and that kind of reinforces our experiences and our connections. And I feel that when we visit patients, we bring our experience as musicians on the concert stage to the patient. But when we perform on stage, we also have the memory of these precious moments with the patients. It goes both ways. So, so this has been working really well and very, very satisfying.
So I was just going to say, it's programs like this that start from a creative like you that really just, it's amazing how much they help. And you sort of bring to it this authenticity and intentionality, whereas, not just anybody can play music for somebody at the end of life, but there is a connection there that you've made. And now you've brought so many more people into this realm. It's just beautiful. And I want to thank you on behalf of all of the communities that you serve, because this is a huge benefit. I know the University of Maryland Hospital had a relationship, I think they still do, with musicians who would come and just play in the hospital for their
Oh, that's
patients.
wonderful. I didn't know.
I started a program at the VA hospital that was a change of shift. We called it shifting moods because there was a lot of tension between the outgoing nursing shift and the oncoming nursing shift. So we would play jazz at that time, and everybody started dancing and they started cleaning up their corners. So
Oh,
music has a profound effect on all of us. I'm so glad we got to have this chat together. I hope you all enjoyed meeting Nina, and please go to her website, A Musical Heart, and listen to some of those musicians. It's just absolutely beautiful. So we're going to this program was recorded. My wonderful tech Julio is going to make it fancy, and then we're going to reload it onto our website. And that's what I was trying to show you guys is, here we go. This will work. So we already have a little group of creativity boosters about different things. We did have a music therapist on, Melissa Pate, and she talked about very specific details on why music does what it does. And we're looking forward to doing chair yoga next month. And so I hope you guys will join me. And if not, send your friends. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nina.
thank you. Thank you so much.